Hey guys, Mark Foreman again. This is day two or video two of the Memaw table project. It is December 19th on a beautiful Friday. Should have some clear skies tonight, so I'll be doing some astronomy later, but for now, it's back to the table. Oh, and by the way, I have completed my sister's Pimp My Table, and I have completed the Foreman Heritage coffee table. So now the only project I've got, believe it or not, one project, at least in woodworking, is the Memaw table. You'll see here I have gone back to West Vice and purchased some 8/4 walnut. 8/4 means 2 inches thick. It is beautiful, beautiful wood. Very heavy though, very heavy. I anticipate this table is going to weigh in at about, I don't know, 300 pounds or so. But I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really nice. Speaking of the 8/4 wood, just to give you an idea, again, this is from West Vice over in Nederland, by the way. I finally nailed down what city it's in. It's over on Twin City in Nederland. And if you're into woodworking, definitely use them. They have a wide selection, and the prices are really good. I even went online. There's places you can order hardwood and have it shipped to you. You pay a lot in shipping, and honestly, the prices were like 50% higher than what West Vice, who's local, provides. As an example, the price of this walnut was $9.35 per board foot. What's a board foot? Well, I'm not going to go into it, but essentially, wood, or nice wood, is sold by volume, and you can think of board feet as the volume of all this wood. And I had 39 board feet in these three planks here, which was $364 for 3 pieces of wood. It's very expensive, and walnut is on the higher end as far as the cost of wood. Something I did this time with them differently was they provide a service. They will straight line it and mill it for you. What does that mean? Well, milling was they will surface one side or one surface of your board for you. And that saves me a lot of time because rarely does a board come in that is perfectly flat. And to get a good smooth side, you have to deal with that warping or curving or whatever as you plane it, or you're just going to make a thinner, warped board. Uh, so I went ahead and took advantage of that, and their price is a staggeringly expensive 16 cents per board foot. So $6.24 was definitely worth it for me. They also did what's called straight line ripping on one edge. You can think of that like jointing. It essentially makes a 90-degree from your surface side and your straight line side. So that also saves me a lot of headache with the initial straightening of the edge on the jointer, because these boards, like I said, they're pretty darn heavy. So I took advantage of that for another whopping 17 cents per board foot for another $6. Definitely worth it. Um, Great guys to work with as well. So anyway, where did we leave off? We'll come back to the uh, 8/4 walnut much further into the project. Right now, I still have to work on the little design that's going to go down the middle. That's where all the trapezoids come in, and that's what we did. I showed you last episode was the cutting and ripping down of my walnut, maple, and cherry into trapezoids. I also bought red oak, and I haven't shown you anything with the red oak yet, and that's what we're doing today. So the goal of my little design is to make triangles. What do I mean by that? Well, I am going to glue up 3 trapezoids, not this color arrangement, but just for showing, for visual. Make a little triangle. Well, that's all great and everything, but as you can see, it's hard to hold these not glued together. That makes a big hole right in the middle. So today we're going to fill that hole with a baby triangle. And I'm going to do that by using each of these woods to form a much smaller trapezoid. I'll probably take some pictures to show you a little bit better. We're going to fill it with that, but that still leaves a little tiny gap. And I'll show you. This is a piece from my kitchen table that I made. And all these little triangles make up a design. When it's all said and done, it gives it a nice 3D effect. It's really cool. And I think I've improved a little bit from the kitchen table, so it might even look better, I hope. Again, because it's going to be combined with this very expensive walnut. I'm not going to screw that up. So anyway, the little triangle. Let me bring this up here. Again, this is a bad piece. That's why it's not part of the table. Oh, yes, you'll see I am not flipping you the bird with a metal finger. There's a whole story to this. Maybe one day I'll show you, but it involved that jointer over there. Lesson learned. Keep the safety cover on. Anyway, back to this. I have to make this little teeny tiny triangle right there at the top. And that triangle is 5 millimeters tall. Well, no matter what kind of tools you have, cutting something that small is inherently dangerous. You know, you only have 10 fingers, as I've learned. You have to take care of them. But you're also not going to get a very clean, straight cut. So what I'm going to do is some kind of a glue up. I'm going to take a lot of scrap from the last episode. For example, here's some, and here's some. This is a piece of scrap from of cherry from the trapezoid cutting. It wasn't wide enough to make that other edge there, so this is essentially scrap. And here is some red oak that I've already kind of cut thin. This originally came as 1 inch thick. I ripped it right in half using my brand new fantastic bandsaw, and I used a bandsaw instead of a table saw because the kerf, the thickness of your cutting blade just turns into sawdust. Well, that has a much thinner kerf than my table saw. I don't know the exact sizes. So I have a lot less waste. So I can take a 1 inch piece of red oak and cut it at least 3 times and use that for my tiny triangles. So I then have, 2 pieces. I have to glue it together. So this is going to be the first glue up. I'm going to glue up some red oak on top of each of cherry, walnut, and maple, and then use the table saw to cut tiny triangles. So that's what we're doing today. Stick around. Ouch. And we're back. It's been probably 4 hours since I glued it up, which is way more than you need. But I had other things to do, so I just went ahead and let it sit here and dry up. So let's take it out of its little clamps here, and then we'll head over and cut it up. Let's take it apart. And trust me, this is not that easy with this brace on my finger. Other side. Normally I would have done 4 or 5 at a time, but in the interest of just making this video, I did 2. So it came right apart because I didn't make sure there was no glue between the 2 red oaks. Get a little bit of gap. This one looks good. I will make the best of it. So let's go over to glue up. Table saw. All right. So here's the 2 that we just glued up. I had previously done 2 others, so I have 4 to do. First thing we have to do is get the table saw set up properly. So let's get the height. Okay. Now let's get the angle. And I have some that I had previously done, so I will use those as my guide. But it's essentially 30 degrees. It's 30. Yep, looks good. Now my fence on this new table saw, it has a neat little feature. This is your normal fence for ripping, but it has this lower option. I could work with my finger. And what this allows me to do is I can bring that fence actually underneath that angled blade. If I didn't have that there, the blade would be ripping into the rip fence. So that's a really neat feature. All right, so let's bring it up flush. There, lock it into place. Looks good. So what I'm going to do, here's one of the boards that we just glued up. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I had cut that at an angle. So the little red oak tip that I'm going to need is right there. So I should be able to get 2 center mini triangles out of this. There's going to be one that's a reverse of what I need. It's waste. But who knows? I might be able to glue a bunch of those together and do something with it. So let me go turn on my dust collector. Sorry, it might get a little loud. Okay. And there we go. Let me move you Otherwise, you'll be seeing my back, and I don't want to cut from this side because I'm not used to doing it that way. How about that? Can you see? Go turn off the dust collector. Okay, there you have it. Let's get this side better. A little mini triangle. Let's see how it works. Let me get a couple of the outer triangle trapezoids. One down there, one right there, there. That makes up the triangle. Now let's see if it fits. Fits right there. There. Some snug. And it's hard to hold, not glued together. So maybe you get a general idea. Slid out. Quality programming here. Well, you get the gist. There it is. I can hold it all together. So, enough of that. I have quite a few triangles already cut. Let me twist you over here. I've got some walnuts. Got some maples, some cherries. I haven't done the math, but who knows? I might be in the ballpark of being finished with the mini triangles. Okay. As you can see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 walnuts, 2, 4 cherries. I've got more than that somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maples. So that's a lot of mini triangles to go inside the trapezoids that make up the big triangles. And then we go to glue up number 2. That's where it gets fun. I've got a form, I've got different kinds of clamps, a lot of praying, a lot of cussing that it all fits. That'll be coming soon. Have a great Friday evening. I've got the scope out and some cold beverages. So I'm about to go stare at the stars, and we'll come back to the Memaw table soon. Catch you later.